Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are back with more of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this time on to episode 4 of season 2. Last time we met newcomers Spike and Drusilla, who are both English vampires. I was going to say British, but then realised that would be a bit of a generalisation. Both English vampires, and Spike is also very, very kind of well familiarised and well connected with Angel as well, having even knowing his original name is Angelus and everything. So there was that, and Angel was also his sire. He was also his sire. So I think that means that he was the one who actually turned Spike and made him a vampire and everything. So yeah, Spike and Drusilla, they've probably come back to the States or come over to Sunnydale at least. So that's cool. And yeah, Drusilla, I think she needs like some kind of powering up or something. She is kind of weakened, and she's I think not having trouble feeding, but I think he did at least kind of have to remind her of slightly to actually eat and everything. So she fed on Sheila and turned Sheila into a vampire. So that was the thing. So she's out there somewhere. So they've come to Sunnydale because the remnant energy of the Hellmouth can presumably kind of help kind of recover her or heal her back up and everything. So there's that. And in regards to recognizing a familiar face too, what I mean for me, well, kind of, I mean, I don't know if he was in anything before this, and I mean, he's been in some stuff after this, but I don't know if he was in anything before this or if this was like his breakout role or something. But in terms of recognizing like a familiar face, at least for me, Spike is played by James Masters, so there's that. just kind of pointing that out. I'm sure plenty of people coming back to this already kind of knew this and everything, but yeah, I think don't know if this might have been his breakout role or if this was like the kind of role that he did more than any other kind of part that he played before this. But yeah, played by James Masters, so there's that. I knew him first. Well, I mean, I knew he was in this before watching Runaways, but I think I actually saw him for the first time and more prominently in Runaways. So he's here. So now I get to see him actually kind of play the role of Spike and see what he's like here, so that's cool. But yeah, as we said hello to Spike and Drusilla, we also said goodbye to the Anointed One, or as Spike so eloquently dubbed him as the Annoying One. So that character just pretty much out the window. Presumably because also the writers probably didn't really know what else to do with him. And stuff, but then also because they probably also actually wanted to do some more stuff with Spike and didn't want him having to wrestle for power with a child the entire time either. So he locked him in a cage and poured him up into the sunlight and turned to dust and everything. So yeah, also with the very kind of specific words of a little less ritual and a little more fun. So he's tired of the Anointed One and his kind of ways of ruling and his ways of ordering the vampires around. He himself kind of seems to be like a bit more of like a hedonistic kind of guy too, like a hedonistic vampire, and like a bit more kind of like a maybe slightly more of like an adrenaline junkie too, because then he also he just couldn't wait for he couldn't wait for the he couldn't like wait or hold off on the attack on the school. I think because I think the plan might have originally been to actually kind of like coincide the attack on the school with the actual night of St. Vigius or something, but then he couldn't wait. He just took a squad of vampires and went to town and everything, literally hit the town. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting seeing how someone like him, who's as powerful and as old as Angel and everything, and also has killed, like he's killed slaves. So he's killed like 2 slaves before, so he has experience with that too. So it's gonna be interesting seeing how he, as an antagonist, as the newest antagonist, actually rises up and faces Buffy. I mean, she's already fought him, and he very nearly overpowered her before Mama Summers came in with a bonk of the axe and everything. So yeah, and Joyce pretty much borderline experienced the world of vampires and stuff like for the first time too, but whether or not they're going to address this at any time, or actually address this at all, is really up for questioning, and exactly like what she makes it, if she's rationalized it, if she's ignoring it, if she's just kind of chalking it up to nighttime terrors or whatever. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think she saved Buffy from Spike initially, so there was that, and then it was parents' evening too, and Snyder took the absolute kind of bliss out of telling Joyce what a pain in the ass that he thought Buffy was and everything. But then come time of like a vampire kind of style crisis, and then Buffy's into action mode, and she knows what to do, and she knows how to fight the threat and to keep people safe and everything. And Joyce sees that, and she's like, you know what, I don't care. She's my daughter. She's compassionate and, you know, like steadfast in a crisis, and she knows how to handle herself and cares about people. That's all she really needs in a daughter. So yeah, it was cool. So that was fun. And yeah, I mean, so again, I think Snyder overall doesn't really give me the kind of the coolest or the nicest of vibes. I think him and Bob, the cop, as well, they just kind of seem to have like some kind of history or some kind of like an external recognition or like an external kind of, you know, awareness of true events going on that we as an audience don't really know about yet. So I'm curious and all the more kind of wary to know about exactly what like where like who Snyder is, where he comes from, what he might know, and everything. Because I think either he does genuinely hate kids, but then he also knows what the kids are doing, or he's just using some kind of like hatred of kids to cover up like other stuff. So I think it might be more the former. I think he actually might genuinely just hate kids, but then also know that these kids are actually up to some really kind of shady stuff. But then he also happens to know something about the shady stuff. So then I don't know. But I guess we'll find out in due time. So yeah. And yeah, for the most part, I think that's pretty much all I've got from the last one. So on to episode number 4 of season 2 of Buffy. So yeah, let's go.
It's part of this whole cultural exchange, McGilla. The exhibit.
Cultural exchange.
A complete stranger in my house for 2 weeks.
Oh, this is the exchange student. This is like the exchange student thing that they have over there. I don't know if we have it over here, but yeah, okay, exchange student.
Have you ever done an exchange program?
My dad tried to send me to some Armenians once. Does that count?
So his dad tried to get him out of the country and push him somewhere else instead of bringing someone over here. Okay, cultural exchange, the treasures of South America.
100% Swedish, 100% gorgeous, 100% staying at my house.
Oh.
So how's your...
Can they choose them, or isn't it chosen for them?
I don't know. Are we still on for our chem tutorial tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I got almost all 14 natural elements memorized.
There are 103.
Oh boy, that's a lot of elements. Periodic table of elements? Is that what it is? Periodic table? I think that's a lot of elements. Inca princess. Whoa. Human sacrifice. The Inca princess exhibit. The Incas, yeah. Are Incas and Mayans different things, or are they the same? Incas, Mayans, and Aztecs. I feel like Aztecs, my history on that stuff is whoosh, just, yeah. A mummy, an Incan mummy. Sabancaya. An Incan princess. Yeah, the Incas did mummies, I'm pretty sure. The Incas, the Egyptians. God, are we gonna have a mummy? Is she gonna come alive this episode then? Is the mummy gonna come alive? We're gonna have a mummy style episode. Oh, you know what? I would actually kind of love an episode in the style of the mummy. I actually would. Can't even lie to you. Oh, is he gonna try and get a piece of the mummy? He got a piece of like the mask thing from earlier. Is he gonna try and get a piece of the mummy too? Or is he gonna take the little tablet thing, like the warning kind of circle thing? You can't get the elements from this. Oh, and you broke the warning. You broke the fucking warning. Oh yeah. Attack of the mummy. Oh, no eyes. No eyes either. Oh, mummy ain't got no eyes. Oh. To be fair, neither did Imhotep. I'm pretty sure Imhotep didn't have any eyes either. Yeah.
So can I go?
I think not.
Great answer, Giles.
How come? Giles, come on, budge. No one likes a non-budger.
Fine!
Yeah, just one more kick and you would have said yes anyway.
I'm just going to introduce my shoulder to her.
That's how you win. You beat your watcher to near death, yeah.
Oh, come on. In all the years you've known Willow, you've never thought about her lips?
Wow,
Buffy,
speak
I
of
love Willow.
the angel. She's
my
an
best
angel.
friend. She's the kind of girl that I'm best friends with.
Hey, guys.
Well, okay then. I love her overalls. Yeah. Oh! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, jeez. Just hitching a piggyback while we ride it, while we Xander.
Were the Incas very advanced?
Does the mummy have eyes now?
Did they have orthodontists?
Or does it have teeth? The mummy's got teeth with braces.
Dead for 500.
So what was it? Rodney in the tomb then? Oh, oh, Potter. Oh, so it's a kiss of death. Is it a kiss of death? So that was Rodney in the tomb then? No. Wait, no. No. She regains health. No, she regains health. Ay caramba. The one Spanish thing you know. She steals her, she regains health the more she kills.
I was taken to Atlanta, Boston, New York.
New York. That's exciting.
Does she take memories too?
I listened much.
Well, that works out well because I talk much.
Oh, you never shut up, do you, Xander? All of a sudden, he's all laughs and smiles.
Sven, memento.
Oh,
Nina.
no, Sven is a Swedish
This
guy,
whole
okay.
student exchange thing has been a horrible nightmare. They don't even speak American. So I'll see you later.
Ooh.
What does a girl have to do to impress you?
Well, it involves a feather ball.
Is that Seth Green? That's Seth Green! From Scooby-Doo!
You know how many girls you could
What's he doing here?
guitar, Oz? It's currency.
What's Seth Green from Scooby-Doo doing here?
You're just impressed by any pretty girl that can walk and talk.
She doesn't have to talk.
Oh gosh. That's concerning.
Hard on my costume. It's pretty.
Oh, Seth Green from Scooby-Doo. Interesting.
It is just more people than I have seen in a long time.
Vampata.
Don't worry. We'll
Oh.
have no problems making friends. As a matter of fact, I know some.
Vampata. Vampata.
How do you do? This chappie with the knife, for instance.
The guy with the sword from
Well, I
the
do not
museum?
know exactly. I believe the word is bodyguard.
Or protector, or guardian. Maybe that's what that guy is, the guardian of the tomb.
Oh, Willow, maybe you could.
Stay with Impata for the day. I'd love to.
Yes, that will be fun.
Continue with the translation. Buffy.
God, the switcheroo, the 180 this man did. The 180 that young man did.
A snack food.
Snack
A
food?
snack
Yeah,
food.
it's a delicious.
Is that a
spongy
Twinkie?
Golden cake. Stuffed with
Is that a Twinkie? That's a Twinkie. Let's call it a Twinkie, man. God damn it. That's how you eat a Twinkie, Xander style.
Now I cannot try it.
That's why you've been too.
I mean, hey, it's not a bad idea introducing a mummy to Twinkies. That is not a bad idea.
And the exciting part is that they have no ingredients that a human can pronounce. So it doesn't leave you with that heavy.
How about sugar? How about sugar?
I like you like it.
Wow.
Please don't learn from my English.
So first a she-mantis and now an Incan mummy girl. I think we figured out Xander's type. It's not best friends, it's supernatural creatures. Yeah.
I can spend my life waiting for Xander to go out with every other girl in the world until he notices me, or I can just get on with my life.
I vote for the latter. I vote for the latter.
Which leads to the question, how do we A, find, and B, stop the mummy?
They never found Ampata's dead body, did they? Oh, the bodyguard. The guardian is here. The guardian is here. The guardian of the tomb. Oh. If they can find Ampata's body, then that would prove to them that he's dead too, and she took on his life force.
We'll meet there tonight after it closes.
No, bad plan. I have other plans. Dance plans.
Ah, boogie plans.
Canceled plans.
Cancel.
Okay,
I like you too.
Really?
Really?
That's great. Really?
Really?
That's great. You're not a praying mantis, are you? Sorry, someone else.
You cannot.
Oh, that callback was delicious. Oh, that callback.
Wait outside.
You are already dead for 500 years.
500 years.
But it was not fair. I was innocent.
She was
So
innocent.
now, you are the chosen one.
The chosen one?
You must die.
What kind of chosen one?
No choice.
I do.
Is it always a kiss? Oh. Even killing the Guardian. Damn. Even killing the Guardian. Is she gonna keep getting younger, or is she just gonna keep getting more healthy? Because she does look kind of younger, but then it's also could be like a healthier thing. Oh, she's got denim overalls. That's cool.
This
I
one?
need to invest in a pair of
no, that
overalls.
clashes. There should be a gold one in there somewhere.
That only she could defend her people from the netherworld.
That kind of a chosen one?
In her generation. She was the only one.
The chosen one. Is that what she is then? Is she a chosen one?
She was offered as a sacrifice and went to her death. Who
Oh.
knows what she had to give up to fulfill her
She
duty
was a
to others.
sacrifice chosen one.
What chance at love?
Or sacrificed according to Incan kind of traditions and stuff. There's a whole ass dead body in her trunk. There's a whole dead body in there, whole mummified body. Who else has she killed?
I've come for the dance.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
what culture are you?
Is this a poncho?
I'm from the country of Leone.
He's wearing a poncho.
It's in Italy.
And a
between
hat.
Montana.
2 days in America and Ampata already seems like she belongs here. She's really fitting in.
Would America count as like Incan like land, like Incan indigenous land? Would that be would that be Europe?
My own speechless.
Oh, it's just like a Viking? He's just a Viking?
Get punchy.
Get punchy, he might start punching people.
Fruit drinky.
So she's all for the 100% Swedish, 100% gorgeous guy until it's Sven. I thought they had pictures in the books or anything, and she still acts dissatisfied. No, she dresses like an Eskimo or something? Like a... Or was it Inuit?
I love your costume. It's very authentic.
Thanks.
Yeah, you look, snug.
As do you.
That's what I was going for.
He was a guard, all right, but it was his job to ensure that the mummy didn't awaken and escape.
She was wiggy about the seal from minute one.
Have you guys not been noticing that she looks healthier and healthier the more you see her?
Her trunks.
Her
I beg
trunks.
your pardon?
Not those kind of trunks. Yeah.
The Eskimo.
Let's go. Oh, Willow? Oh, he's interested in Willow. Damn. Well, he was into Velma in the Scooby-Doo movie, so we know he likes his nerdy girls. If she kisses Xander, he is gonna fucking freeze dry. But maybe that's not gonna happen. Or would she do it to Xander though? Because she actually does like him. She actually does like Xander, so would she do it to him? Would she risk it? But then he would want to kiss her. He would want to kiss her, so then she'd have to... Oh. Oh no.
Have you seen Ampata? What was that?
I shrugged.
Next time you should probably say shrug.
Why would she say shrug when she shrug?
Sigh.
Sigh.
I thought this exchange steering thing would be a great deal. But look what I got stuck with.
So San is a talker, just with the right person. Oh, jeez. Oh, that mummy-fied hand. Oh, jeez. So showing little to no remorse and actually consuming people either.
It's a secret, right? And if you told me, you'd have to kill me. Oh,
I might not want to say that part out loud. Yeah.
the delivery was off too. I'm sorry.
Ampata's the mummy. Oh,
Oh.
good.
Oh, good. He fell in love with yet another risky supernatural figure. Oh. Oh, that hard work. All that hard work. Chosen one, baby. Chosen one. Oh, Jesus, yeah. She's a former chosen one, Buffy. She's a former chosen one. She's gonna be good. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
You want life? You're gonna have to take mine. Can you do that?
She tried and she couldn't. She had to pull herself back. Oh. Oh, her arms. Oh, her arms. Oh, oh, jeez. Oh, the whole body just shattered apart. Xander can't seem to stabilize or even humanize his love life. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
She was just a girl and she had her life taken away from her. I remember how I felt when I heard the prophecy that I was gonna die.
You gave up your life.
So many overalls in this episode. I love it. I love it. I love overalls. So yeah, an episode with a mummy. Never thought we'd have that, but boy, am I glad we did. Yeah, I think in terms of like supernatural kind of horror stuff, I think mummies are generally. I do enjoy stuff with mummies. I do generally enjoy it. And I think I mean I might have a tiny bit of bias, like entertainment wise. I might have a little bit of bias from obviously the mummy movies and everything. Because I mean, come on, we gotta admit those are pretty great. We gotta admit those are pretty great and pinnacles of like supernatural kind of horror stuff and everything. And of course, that cast is just and everything. So. Yeah, so I might be a bit biased on the entertainment side, but I think information-wise, I've never actually studied about any mummies other than Egyptian mummies, because I think those are like slightly maybe more mainstream, especially in terms of the movies. I think I really don't know if we've ever had any movies about like Incan mummies or Mayan mummies. I think like Incans and Mayans and Aztecs, and I'm not sure like if there's like too much correlation or connection, or if it's interchangeable, or if there's any kind of distinction, like much distinction between them, but not really sure. But I think even in terms of like, I mean, even in terms of movies, I think at least in Hollywood, I think in Hollywood there isn't. I think unless like over in Europe or something, then there might be they might have done their own versions of the Mummy, but just like to do with Incans and Aztecs and whatever. But yeah, no, I think in Hollywood we only really have the Egyptian one. I think even the newest one with like Sophia Boutella. I think I'm trusting she like I think that one was also like said to be like an actual reboot from like inspired by the actual original one with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. But yeah, no, I think that one. I think I'm pretty sure like that one follows the same formula and follows the same mythology and everything. So yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen clips from that. I've seen clips. I haven't seen that one in its entirety. I think the originals with Brendan and Rachel will always hold very special spots in my heart. I didn't mind the third one. I did not hate the third one. I think a lot of people didn't really like it because of primarily because of Rachel not coming back for the third one. But I didn't really mind it. I still enjoyed it. I think Brendan came back and he still managed to get along with everyone and still made for like a fun movie, I think. But I didn't. I think in terms of being like a movie and an installment, I didn't really kind of hate it. Like the story still seemed okay. So yeah, but I think for the first two will always be like my kind of OGs and everything. So yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, anyway, so mummies. Yeah, I think this one being an Incan princess mummy. So yeah, and it being an exchange student thing as well. The exchange student, yeah, I think I'm aware that is very much a thing. But I also wonder. I mean, to be fair though, it's like it's an exchange student program in America, but then it's like it's students from all over the world actually coming to them, because then Cordelia had like a Swedish dude and stuff, so there was that, and then Buffy had the South American guy who died like someone's going to inform his next of kin, like his parents, or something, that he's not coming back home. I think that kind of stuff, like next of kin and information, and like all that kind of stuff. I think that's stuff like for the sake of not suspending disbelief too much. I feel like that's something we just have to believe happens off screen or off camera or something. So either way, exchange student things. I think because I know it's in America. I think Americans have it, but I don't know if Americans have it, and it's to do with Europeans and non-Americans actually going to the US, but I don't know if any other country in the world. I think I don't even know if we have it in the UK. I definitely never went through it. I definitely never had like any kind of exchange student thing. So I've only ever seen it in American media. I've only ever seen it happening in like American like movies and shows and whatnot. So don't know if like Europe actually has it, but then it's only for like only Europeans go to America, no Americans go to Europe or anything. So I don't know. But either way, it was the cultural exchange program. So, and yeah, we had Parta, or as I like for one time dubbed her Femme Parta. It seemed semi-appropriate. She's literally the Incan princess girl mummy that literally killed Amparta and stole his life force and allowed her to regain the actual kind of natural lively appearance of like a teenage girl and everything. So Amparta seemed appropriate, but I guess they kept on calling her Amparta during the entire thing, because then they were under the impression that was actually Amparta, and Amparta wasn't actually a guy and was actually a girl. So I don't know, Amparta, Femparta, whichever one floats your boat, just roll with it. So there's that. An Incan princess mummy, dead for 500 years, which I think will probably kind of line up with the with the time. What I was wondering was, I know like America is pretty much like native land for the for indigenous people there, like Native Americans, like all sorts of like Native American kind of tribes, like it's indigenous to Native Americans, but then it's like, you know, I think Cherokee is the name for one of the tribes, or like one of the types of indigenous people. And I think what's the Prey movie? The Prey movie had like a tribe in it, and it was dubbed not in Cherokee, it was in Comanche. I think Comanche or Comanche. I think that's another one too. So I think that one. I think that one might be South America. So those kind of tribes and those kinds of peoples, I think they are native to kind of American land and everything. But I don't know if like Aztecs and Incans and like Maya, I think, would they be European? Would they be native to European? Because they were also ancient people too. I think that might be the difference. I think that might be the difference, because I think Native American kind of heritage and lineage is still alive, and today like descendants, like there are definitely descendants of Native American kind of tribes from way back when who are still like who actually alive today, like descendants are still kind of here, and so some are trying to keep their heritage and lineage alive and everything amidst everything. So that's the thing, but don't really know if Aztecs and Mayans and Incans actually have their own descendants, if they're still on, or if they're keeping their kind of history alive in the same way, or what's happening. But I don't know. I'm mostly curious as to whether or not like America or Europe or Europe would be like the land kind of native to Incans and Aztecs and Mayans. I think I keep mentioning those three kind of, you know, distinct kind of categories of peoples. I think again I'm not sure of any kind of correlation, because I think Aztecs is the one I'm familiar with all of them to an extent, like and everything. I think Aztecs. I remember reading about Aztecs. I think in Horrible Histories books, I think Aztecs used to be in those. The angry Aztecs, I think they were the because they're like the terrible Tudors, gorgeous Georgians. I think the Val Victorians, because they had like a TV show, and I think that like the names of all the books and everything and all the peoples they covered was actually in the intro and everything. So, you know, if you want to know about the different kinds of peoples from down history, just go listen to the Horrible Histories theme song. It's all in there. So yeah, I think Aztecs. I think don't know if that also is like maybe like a. Don't know if that could be also like a more broader term, maybe like because you can still call people from Europe Europeans, but there's like Europe has all sorts, like Germany, Russia, and like all these other countries within it that still come under Europe, and that's like the European. I don't know if then if Aztec would be considered the same one, like you call them all Aztecs, but then they still individually can be simplified down to other kind of like ethnicities or kind of cultures or whatever. So again, my history on the term, my history on those peoples, on that kind of culture and everything is not up to scratch. It's not up to par. I read very briefly about the Aztecs years ago, and I've already forgotten most of what I read. But I think the one thing I do know about them is that they were very like traditional in their ways of sacrifice. I think one of their most common and like most popular and most kind of sacred tradition was actually human sacrifice. I think human sacrifices was a big deal for them, and I think also in like a pretty brutal way too. Because even Ampata was a sacrifice. I think at the age of 16 she was a sacrifice and stuff. So if she was Incan, and I think if they did follow the same kind of traditions and stuff as the Aztecs, and they still followed the human sacrifice kind of thing. They sacrificed almost everyone to the gods as they so pleased and everything. Like the sacrifices themselves, like the sacrificees did not really get much of a say in it. They didn't get a choice. They just were chosen and then taken and sacrificed and everything, and could like take them to like the top of the pyramids, and then the blood would like run down the steps and stuff, and it was like a whole thing. So yeah, I don't know if there's any kind of correlation between the Incans in that way and the Aztecs, but I guess this episode would be kind of, you know, a kind of nice enough kind of prompt to research it and to actually find out more of what it's all about and see what's going on. So yeah, but yeah, we had Ampata, who was 500 years dead/old. You know, I think the bodyguard did say that she's dead like for 500 years, so I guess that would still maybe count as she was 16, so maybe 516 years old, but 500 years dead, if that's how that math works. I'm not sure, but either way, dead for 500 years. So yeah, I'm assuming that would kind of line up with the Incan kind of thing. Like literally, my mind is still the kind of mind. It's like if you say 10 or 15 years ago, I'm still going to be thinking back like to like the 1990s or something. I think, you know, like that's how my mind was. If you say like, you know, 10 years ago, or like 10 or 20 or like 15 years ago, I'm going to be thinking back all the way back like the 1990s, the 1980s and that kind of thing. So, you know, the bigger the number you ask me to think back to, I'm going to end up thinking back even further. If you say like, you know, if you say something like, you know, like 500,000 years ago, like for a split second, I might even think of the Stone Age. I legitimately might think of the Stone Age before thinking, okay, like realistically, how far back would it actually going to be? So, Incan times and like Aztec times, I think that stuff seems like so much further away, like feels so much further away to me. But then it's like 500 years, and it's like, how far would that be? Like really? So. I don't know, but because then that also kind of makes you wonder, like, obviously, like different cultures have like gods of their own and stuff, but then it's like in terms of traditions like burial and like just different like ways that cultures do things. I think part of me can't help but wonder, like especially because each period of time happened one after the other. Like part of me can't help but wonder, like, you know, could different cultures have been inspired off of each other? Like maybe like if the Aztecs happened before the Egyptians, because like the Aztecs had like the habit. I don't know if like Aztecs actually did anything with the organs afterwards, but I think I know that they had a habit of actually sacrificing them. Either sacrificing them by carving their heart out, or sacrificing them and then carving their heart out. But then I don't know if they actually did anything with the heart, or actually could have stored any of the organs elsewhere. But then obviously, like the Egyptians had like the thing with like the canopic jars, actually storing organs in the canopic jars and actually emptying the body out and wrapping up in bandages and doing all that kind of stuff. So then kind of one, like maybe if like cultures would actually look at what people did before them and like learning from other kind of humans around the world and everything, and kind of maybe like just kind of like modifying it to fit their culture and everything. I don't know. I think I feel like that maybe kind of might have a discussion to it. Maybe might be something worth discussing or something. But I don't know. But either way, throughout the episode, the more and more we saw of Ampata, the more and more I kind of thought to myself, like, oh, so she seems so innocent. She seems so sweet and so positive and so joyous, and she seems to like her and Xander seem to be having a genuinely good time. Like there's no she didn't tell him what she was, obviously, but then like other than that, like there's no manipulation, there's no like kind of scare tactics, then there's no twisting him in, like there's no luring him into any dark corners to kiss him and do anything like she's like he's the one person out of all the people that she's killed that she seems to actually genuinely want to be with and genuinely want to keep alive and everything. So then because of that, it's like, you know, you also, because Xander is also a main character, and then obviously we probably can't lose him just yet. So there's that kind of plot armor that he does indefinitely hold. But you know, I think besides that, I think even then, like the way they do write it is that him and Parter do actually share like an actual genuine connection, and actually do genuinely like spending time together. The way him and Giles seem to react to it, like it did make me wonder if there's like a like a pheromone or like an attraction kind of magnet kind of element to it. Like maybe all the men are enamored by her, but then the women still kind of treat her normally or something. But didn't seem that. I think Giles just kind of seemed. I mean, Giles is awkward anyway. Giles is awkward anyway, and then Xander is awkward but confident. Like Giles is like a bumbly and slippery awkward. Like he actually tumbles over his own words, and he actively kind of gives off that kind of social awkward vibe. But then Xander is able to emulate confidence, not successfully, mind you, but he's still able, like he's still kind of young enough and kind of, you know, socially kind of adept enough to actually kind of to try and emulate confidence, even though it still gets him rejected, he's still able to emulate confidence. So then I think because of those two kind of traits kind of still kind of being maintained, it kind of seems less so, but did make me wonder if there's that kind of like element, like maybe because like, and again also she's like a young, very very attractive girl too, so maybe that could have been a thing. But again, I felt like maybe I don't know, maybe that would kind of be like placing fault on her shoulders or something, like maybe like a Helen of Troy type thing. But even then, that's just like still. So yeah, but no, she does. She actually did like Xander. She's like I think up until meeting Ampata, like Xander is kind of, you know, dead set against Buffy kind of going anywhere near him or actually being alone with him or spending time with him, because again, he's a guy. So like her spending any time with a guy, he is kind of deadly against, which again comes with its own kind of problematic kind of connotations and everything. But then he meets Ampata, and then they find out that she's a girl. Like she is a girl. She's a girl. She just wasn't Ampata. I don't think we ever got her real name, because Ampata was the guy. Ampata was originally the actual guy, like the exchange student guy that Buffy was meant to have at her house, but then he died, so then she did, like, she assumed his identity and everything, but then they never actually found anything that revealed her true name, so they just kind of rolled with Unparted the entire time. So don't know if Unparted might be like more of like a gender neutral name too. It doesn't really kind of feel like it has any kind of masculine or feminine kind of, you know, particular kind of energies or labels kind of too. Like like even when they called her Unparted, like I kind of half called her Femparted as like a kind of like a passing joke, but then even hearing them call her Unparted, it still sounded like perfectly natural and perfectly kind of normal. So I'm wondering if maybe it might be like a gender neutral thing. I think, especially like since like cultures too, like indigenous cultures and native cultures and everything do kind of actually have like their kind of concept of gender and their kind of concept of actually gendering kind of people is just still so much more kind of free and like so much more fluid than like Western stuff and like more kind of like modern kind of westernized kind of cultures are. So Ampata could just as easily be and especially Ampata being from South America too, like he himself could have easily had like kind of native or like non kind of Western roots to him that kind of definitely like allowed him to have like a gender neutral name. So it definitely still felt like it actually kind of fit and everything. So either way, that was Unparted. At least for the sake of the episode, for the sake of the story, that was the Unparted that we got and everything. So yeah, even after meeting Unparted and finding out that she actually was a girl instead. You know, Xander, again, as expected, he was head over heels and all of a sudden super duper enthusiastic to get her in, to actually bring her into the circle and to get her familiarized and acquainted and everything. So that is Xander. Xander is as Xander will be. And I think again, yeah, I feel like with Xander, it's like it's very easy to see a lot of the stuff that he does as like toxic and problematic, and like, you know, I think they're not actively trying to pass him off as a bad guy, but then a lot of the stuff that he does as the guy in the group, as the guy in their little kind of trio of friends kind of group and everything, and the way that he kind of treats like guys who do hang around Buffy and the guys that Buffy kind of is with and connects with everything, again, like that kind of stuff can very easily kind of be kind of passed off as just like him being him, but then it can also kind of very easily be kind of received as like him kind of being like an actual toxic kind of male friend. And I feel maybe, and I think could also be like it being like a product of his time too, like friendships like back then being that much more kind of in that way, and guys that back then, I mean, not that there aren't still some guys who are like that today, but then still maybe Xander kind of being like a representation of that kind of a friend. Like he's not inherently like a bad guy, but then some of the stuff he says and also does is evidently just kind of like not so helpful and really not kind of, you know, positive and stuff. So I don't know, but then of course again I think part of it being that we also kind of do expect it too, like as soon as he finds out that she's a girl and like a really quite pretty girl as well, then he's suddenly done like a 180 and all of a sudden he wants to spend all of his time with Ampata and wants to bring her in and everything. So yeah, he sees a pretty girl and all logic goes out the window. So that's Xander Lavelle Harris for you. He very kind of, well, not publicly because he didn't know what was there, but then he also kind of very kind of outwardly kind of stated towards Buffy that he wasn't interested in Willow because she was just the best friend. I think to be fair there, like, I think he has made his feelings clear. I think on his end that's not really like a wrongdoing either. I think what would be wrong is like him knowing he feels that way about her, but then stringing her along, like him knowing that she's just the best friend to him and that he doesn't actually feel that way about her, but still kind of leading her on or making her kind of or letting her think whatever she feels, or letting her feel whatever she feels or think whatever she thinks. Like that would be kind of wrong. So him to be like, she's never asked him out and he's never fully declined her. You know, keeps telling her that she's his best friend and that nothing will ever change that, but then that leaves her open to thinking that, okay, so he's fine with me, he's actually okay with us being best friends, but then is he open to more? Is he okay with more? Is he capable of seeing me as more than that? So then, but then I think again in this episode he did say to Buffy like he's into girls who aren't Willow, but then Willow is his best friend and he doesn't care deeply about her and everything, which Willow heard. So now I think now this episode we pretty much see her kind of pining over Xander and wishing that he and probably a mixture of her kind of pining over him and then wishing he would feel the same way, and also her actually kind of wishing that he did feel that way about her, and actually wishing that he was open to being more. So I think it's just her kind of yearning over what she now kind of pretty much does know that she can never have. So that being said, I now hope because she even did mention it to Buffy. She even did mention it to Buffy she either kind of continues pining over him for something that she knows she'll probably never get, or she processes her feelings like a human being properly and moves on with her life. So I hope they do. I'm hoping they don't spend the rest of the season, or even, God forbid, the next few episodes actually leaving her kind of wondering over what could have been, or what she feels should have been, and then actually allows her to move on and actually accept him as a best friend too, and see where those feelings lie, and then actually kind of move on with her own life too. Both of them deserve to move on properly, and then he can continue trying to. I mean, well, yeah, and he can continue. Seeing as that seems to be his type now, he can continue actually kind of finding love in supernatural entities, and she can move on with her life and see what else is there. So yeah, and yeah, that whole trend too. So now it seems like, yeah, I think Xander's type and Xander's kind of only plausible kind of love interest seem to be supernatural entities. First a praying she mantis, and now an Incan mummy girl. So yeah, I'm so glad like they even actually called back to that, and actually kind of called that out as his type too, like him actually wanting to clarify that she wasn't a praying mantis either, but then actually, still later kind of being led to the discovery that she's actually a mummy waiting to die and needing to consume life and everything. So yeah, that went well. But yeah, hey, you know what? I actually kind of can't help but say I would kind of love if they kept that trend up. Like Willow moves on and she finds someone and she actually is able to be happy and everything. But then Xander just honestly just cannot help but find himself be attracted to, and also finding himself being occasionally kind of bonded to supernatural kind of, women and supernatural entities as potential love interests too. Like, and he just doesn't find it out until the very end, and it just like a whole roller coaster ride, like him falling in love with supernatural beings. I feel like that's just going to be like the kind of better love story than Twilight version of this show. So yeah, so Willow goes on and finds a love that she accepts and finds a love that accepts her. But then Xander just was like a praying she mantis to an Incan mummy girl, maybe to another vampire, maybe him. I'm surprised he hasn't fallen in love with a vampire. I'm surprised he actually hasn't fully fallen in love with like a vampire or like in a show with an abundance of vampires. I'm surprised they actually haven't given him like a vampire to fall in love with yet. But then I think vampires being like the main enemy and being so painted to be like corrupted kind of forces of evil that can't really kind of hold up that facade of goodness for so long. I guess maybe it's just too easy, maybe, and it wouldn't really make that as compelling. And I think again, like putting it this way too, it actually allows them to introduce other entities and other kind of creatures into this kind of world, and actually allows them to do some world building and everything. So I guess it makes sense. But yeah, so then I think just like maybe a ghost, or if they make ghosts, if they make Ghost Field, then actually have him fall in love with like a ghost girl or something. So that would be interesting. Yeah. But Xander might not be interested in Willow anymore, or even ever. But I think we might have found someone who is. I think we might have found someone who just might be interested in Willow. So Seth Green is on the show. Seth Green, he's been in a few different places. I think he's like a fairly well kind of renowned kind of actor and probably comedian too. I think I've seen him do like a couple of skits or something. I think unless I'm thinking of someone else, but he's been in a few places. I think I think even in relation to this and the kind of the kind of genre that this is in, I think the most prominent place I kind of recognized it from was of course the Scooby-Doo movie, the live action beauties that are the Scooby-Doo movies. I love those movies with all my heart and soul, and I will fight on the hill that they are great. I will fight and die on the hill that they are great. The Scooby-Doo movies, where of course we got Sarah Michelle Gellar from, she went on from this to that. So hey, both of them went on. Seth Green and Sarah Michelle Gellar went from Buffy to the Scooby-Doo movies. Yes. Oh my god, can you imagine if we actually had more of the? Can you imagine if we had more of the Scooby-Doo cast starting on Buffy? I am fully willing that we could have gotten. We could get. I'm hoping. Could we get Matthew Lillard? Could we get Matthew Lillard as a vampire? I feel like he would make a great vampire. I feel like Matthew Lillard would genuinely make such a great vampire. I really hope at some point we can see that. I feel like he would make a genuinely cool vampire. I feel like he would make a really cool kind of vampire and everything. So yeah, that would be cool. And like Linda Cardellini. I feel like she could have done something. I feel like she could have played Willow. I think if they didn't have Alison, I love Alison Hannigan as Willow. I'll say that. I absolutely love Alison Hannigan as Willow. But I feel like if Linda Cardellini played Willow in this, no complaints from me. No complaints whatsoever. Absolutely no complaints whatsoever. But then, of course, like, I think Velma is to Daphne what Willow. Yeah, Velma is to Daphne what Willow is to Buffy. Velma is to Daphne what Willow is to Buffy. So, it still worked out either way. So we had that. And they're both. Obviously in the movie too, Velma was in that movie at least. Velma was romantically kind of linked to Seth Green's character. I can't remember what his name was. I'm pretty sure he did play it, right? I think. Let me actually. I think the more I mention it, the more I'm kind of second guessing myself. I need to make sure that Seth Green was actually in the Scooby-Doo movie. I'm pretty sure he played the guy. Scooby-Doo Seth Green, he did. I don't know. Patrick Wisely, yeah. Okay, so that's cool. So I think she was there with him, and now Willow, and I think his name was Oz. I think his name in this one, his name was Oz. So now they might be on the way to they're on the way to be introduced to each other. Whether or not they actually kind of get together or actually kind of even try dating is a question of its own, but they are on their way to being introduced to each other, because then Oz is actually interested in her. Like, he actually specifically showed interest towards the girl in the Eskimo suit. So yeah, he is into her. So we know that much for sure. So yeah. So Oz, he's interested in Willow. So I guess in time we'll see them two meeting, and hopefully this goes well. I mean, the fact that they're introducing him this early, I feel like maybe that might be like the smallest of signs to kind of take into account that this might not end terribly, but I guess knowing this show and knowing its characters, I guess only time will tell, so we can see. But I think it'll be good for her to actually meet someone new. It'll be good for her to actually meet someone new and see where that goes and see how. And it's also Seth Green, so I mean, I don't know how big he was back here, like if he had actually already done a few things, or if this was like a breakout for him, or it's easy to think now, like, oh, he's such a. Like he's a relatively kind of renowned actor, and he's got like a few good things under his belt, and he's actually done like got a few good credits here and there. So he's the kind of guy you'd want to keep around in your project. But back then, there's really no telling how big these guys were as stars. So it could easily be they get around for a few episodes, or maybe just for this season, and then they boot him off or something. So I don't know. Only time will tell. But yeah, Seth Green, Oz. So he's here, and Willow. Yeah, is Willow. She's ever cute and ever adorable, even in her Eskimo suit. So, yeah. And I think with the Xander thing, I think it's also because, again, like, they're childhood friends. There's a lot of history there. There's a big connection. There's a lot of history, and a lot of history that she's actually riding on emotionally too. So I think maybe actually meeting Oz might be the best thing she needs right now. Actually just meeting someone else and actually having someone else show an interest in her might be the best thing she needs, and that way she actively knows that she can still be best friends with Xander, but then she also knows that it's okay to move on from her feelings for Xander too, and it's actually okay for her to actually be interested in someone else and be interested in someone new. So even if the thing with Oz doesn't work out, I think her actually meeting other people and knowing that she can actually invest her emotions elsewhere when necessary is also like a really kind of healthy and really kind of good thing to know too. So yeah, but I think that being said again, we really don't want like relationships to be like the only thing they really use her for and everything. So actually, I like her being Willow Rosenberg first and foremost, the lovable, cute nerd that we know in the in the kind of circle of Slayers and everything. Yeah, I think I'm hoping that she actually does kind of like get treated like a person first and foremost, and everything else. So yeah, Parter, so her process was regaining health through the kiss of death. It was very explicitly an almost Poison Ivy style kiss. Like it was very explicitly a kiss to the kiss of death, as I called it, the kiss of death, like because it literally was a kiss that killed you and everything. A kiss that like would literally suck the life force out of someone and consume them, but then also use that health to actually replenish her and make her look all the more lively and all the younger and everything. So. Also, can't help but wonder maybe if like those like if the absorption of that life also kind of like, because it was like the life force too, so it was like I think that kind of thing you can easily equate to physical health and like the amount of like life and health that person has left in them. But then given like she mentioned like Boston and New York and like a bunch of other cities and everything, so it's like kind of did feel off to like us knowing that she is actually the Incan mummy kind of returned back to life and absorbing people as she goes and everything. I think it did kind of make me curious as to how like an Incan mummy girl would actually know about those more modern kind of cities and more modern kind of human kind of social placements and everything. So did kind of leave me wondering, especially like her speaking English too. I think it did kind of leave me wondering, like, does she then absorb the actual memories in the brain kind of matter? Like, maybe not the physical brain matter, but more maybe if the brain itself decays down to like a tiny little ball of like dry flesh or something, maybe then she absorbs like more energy and matter and like grey matter from the brain or something. So then that way she then absorbs that person's memories and she remembers all the cities and stuff, and she discovers English and she discovers all this stuff for the first time, but then she passes it off as her own memories and as her own experience and everything. So then that's how she was able to actually craft like a background and like a life for herself and everything. But then her base memories are still hers. Her base memories, like she still remembers being that 16-year-old girl from Incan times who actually was sacrificed and everything, and she remembers actually having her life taken away from her in such a kind of brutal way and everything. So yeah, seems like a really like invasive and really kind of like all-consuming kind of process and everything. So no fault of her own. She didn't ask to become a mummy or be asked to be brought back or anything. So, and she was also a chosen one. She also she talked about like being like every once in like she knew about the story of the chosen one too. Like every generation one girl is chosen, and the age is oftentimes like they're oftentimes teenagers too, like 16 and everything. She knew about the chosen one story. She knew about that that whole kind of legacy. So was she a slayer? Like was she like an actual chosen one slayer? Because then they didn't show her having any kind of like weapons in that tomb. Like she was never buried with her slayer weapons. But then it's like, but then that raises so many questions. So then it's like, even if you're a slayer, because then I'm assuming like the burial and the human sacrifice stuff that she went through and everything, kind of have to assume that was like her people kind of sticking to their tradition and everything. Because then again, it was part of their tradition and part of their culture to sacrifice to the gods and all that kind of stuff. So then it's like, thinking about it that way, if she was a chosen one, if she was sacrificed, that means that even slayers can't, like, at least throughout history, because I think now there's no kind of like any kind of cultural or even like religious traditions like that actually kind of forcing Buffy to go through the same thing. But then it's like, if you think about it through history, then slayers from those kinds of cultures and slayers from those kinds of traditions like really couldn't escape that. Like being a slayer was its own thing entirely. So it's like, then if you die, you die. But then it's like, so then it seems like from her generation, like she died. But then it's like, do they then wait for the next generation to go around, or do they actually pick another 16-year-old girl from her generation? Like if because then she was killed too. She was sacrificed and killed when she was 16. So then she was still the only girl chosen from within her generation. But then if she died, does that mean then that her generation got a new slayer, or like would they just have to wait for 16 years for another baby that day to be born, and for that baby to then unless they sacrifice babies too, then that they would just be in deep shit and it would just be equally as horrific. I don't know. But then the idea of an actual of a chosen one still kind of being taken in and still being factored into other kind of cultures, kind of standards and traditions and everything still kind of boggles my mind. Because then slaying again, even the way the jar talks about it too, and the way it factors into this whole story and its kind of lore and everything, it's like, being a slayer is one of the most important and one of the most kind of pivotal roles that like a young girl can play. But then it's like, if you were a slayer back then, and if you came from a culture that did this to you and your people, then sorry, you're screwed. So even being a slayer can't absolve you or can't really save you from being considered to. Otherwise, you might think, it might be a special treatment thing, but then it's like they need slayers. They need girls from each generation to actually kind of help fight the forces of darkness and shit. But then it's like, I don't know if I asked this before, but then I also don't know if they answered this before. But then it's like who decides who gets chosen? How is each girl chosen? Like what is that process like? But then it's like, why did they not factor in her being from this culture into their decision? Like why was she chosen if she came from a culture that actively sacrificed people? Like why, would her people know about this thing? Because granted, Buffy kind of keeps it secret because she's now in an arguably much more modern society where people don't really kind of believe in these things, and she's in a much more kind of modern and also westernized society where people kind of live that kind of process of like just being normal human beings with normal human lives and all that kind of stuff. But then it's like for Ampata, like, you know, like would her people know about her being the Slayer? And if so, would they still have made the conscious decision to sacrifice her because they said so, or what would happen? Or maybe maybe even her people back then didn't really kind of believe in vampires or darkness or anything like that. So then maybe they have seen more value in sacrificing her because she was there, like, so we'll sacrifice this Slayer to you, and then you, as the god, actually use her power to keep the forces of darkness away from her forever, because then you now have the power of the Slayer and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It raises like a lot of questions and like a lot of concerns too. So then it's like thinking more so now. Thinking about like all the girls and like all the Slayers in history of this kind of world who grew up in cultures and in time periods where like stuff like sacrifice and just killing was so much more ritualistic, or like stuff like murder was so much more prevalent, or like just like in like a cultural way it was so much more prevalent or so much more kind of practiced and stuff that they came from those cultures. But then those girls were still chosen to be Slayers, but then they died to something that just wasn't they died to something that they were never even trained for. So it's just like a really kind of scary thing to think about. It's like a really kind of concerning thing to think about. It's just like it raises so many questions and everything. So I don't know, but I mean, to be fair, I think even from some of the reading that I've done, I think it's just like even in this world, they like all they've really done is adding the Slayer aspect to it. But then in the real world, where this stuff still happens, it's like, you know, even with that Slayer stuff, like it's still a horrifying concept to go through too. Because then again, I think I might need to actually look into exactly like if the sacrifice process was selective, or if they just sacrificed anybody they thought would be worthy or would be valuable or anything. So then it's like thinking about it, but then thinking about that whole process too. So then their idea, their belief was that sacrificing their own people, like people they knew, people they loved, or I mean, because I think I'm not even sure if because then she was innocent too. She was innocent, like she wasn't just the chosen one. Like she was actively an innocent 16-year-old girl that they still sacrificed. And then, you know, that then raises a question like did they actively, consciously do this to innocent people, or did they actually kind of use it as like a punishment for criminals? Like if there was a criminal in the tribe or something, maybe they would actually kind of sacrifice him to God and then stuff, and he would be sent down to hell or whatever, or they would be sent out to hell. So don't know, but then because then it's like it would make I think at least I don't know, maybe for the sake of ethics, or maybe for the sake of like how they actually kind of operated back then, maybe it would make more sense for them to do it primarily to criminals. But then if they were willing to do it to her, to Ampata, then it kind of goes to show that like even innocent people weren't really kind of free or weren't really kind of safe from the sacrifice process. So, you know, for her, she was innocent as a whole anyway. She didn't deserve to die, but she was chosen for this. But then she was also a chosen one who was a Slayer. So, I think, I mean, she'd have to, because then she was only, I think she'd have to be, because then she only ever started killing after she was awakened. And then, Rodney, and she killed the bodyguard who was meant to stop her from waking up. She killed the guardian with the sword, and she killed the real Ampata. She killed all of them. None of them were chosen once. None of them were Slayers. They were all male. They were all guys. So she definitely had to have been a chosen one herself, and she was 16 when she died, so the age and everything would match up. And she also is very, very kind of foundationally kind of aware of the actual of the chosen one kind of speech and the chosen one story and everything. So she herself definitely would have had to be a chosen one. So damn, historically, just Slayers even were not safe in their profession, like even from external, like non-Slayer kind of related threats. Like if you were born into that culture, then you were screwed. So there was the ever so slightest kind of element of like power corrupts and everything, because like the more she took, the younger she got and the healthier she got, the more she was able to actually pass herself off as like a living, breathing kind of human being and everything. So there was that. But then, so there was the ever so slight kind of power corrupt kind of thing. But then, because also she also actively showed no remorse either. She showed no remorse, and she held no remorse for killing those people, for killing Rodney, for killing Ampata. It was even addressed when right before she killed the bodyguard guardian dude as well, and then she killed him. So she actively did kind of have, you can't blame her for wanting, because then again she was taken away so young, and she was killed in such a kind of like a horrible manner as well, and killed in the name of sacrifice and everything. So, you know, like she had everything taken away from her, and then she's brought back, and she finally finds Xander too. She wants to spend time with him. She wants to be with him somewhere, but then it's just But then I think at the same time, actually having to constantly consume lives too is like a horrible reminder of what she is and what she can never be again. So again, she was never like an inherently evil person. She killed, but then she, I think killing automatically does kind of put like a bad perspective and like a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths for understandable reasons too. So again, like killing the people wasn't right, but then she never killed out of malice. She never actively hunted people down, but then she kind of just killed whatever chance she got and everything. So, could have easily tried to kill Willow or Buffy or anyone else, but then she didn't. She still managed to somewhat kind of respect that group, even though she spent time mostly with Xander. She could have killed Xander at any point too, but then she actively felt like a connection towards, so she never actually wanted to lose him. So, and Parter wasn't really never a bad person. Just like a really kind of unlucky girl, kind of dealt with like a really shitty hand from her own culture and her own kind of environment and everything, and then she never really never really fully got the chance to actually be the chosen one, to be the Slayer. So, and one last thing about the chosen one thing too, like with Parter being like an Incan chosen one too, does really make me question exactly how far the Slayer lineage goes, like how far the chosen one kind of lineage and how far that kind of line. I mean, don't know for sure if it can be a bloodline or anything, but then like how far that kind of history of the chosen one goes. Because then if it's Incas, and that's still like 500 years, like that's still really far back. That's still really super far back. So then it does make me question exactly how far this could go back and how far this actually does go back and everything. Like exactly when would dark forces and vampires and all that kind of stuff have first been introduced into the world and everything, and then after that, and then soon after that, how soon after that would like whoever is in charge of all this kind of stuff have actually decided that we actually need like a kind of line of young women from each generation who are actually willing and capable of actually fighting these threats and everything. So it makes me curious, like how far back it goes and how far back it can go and all that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming at some point that might be something. It definitely feels like something worth exploring. So hopefully at some point we might. So yeah, and I think Cordelia as well. Cordelia had had Sven, the Swedish student. I think with her it was. I think with her her and Xander in this episode worked in complete reverse. Like to start off with, Cordelia was 100% enthusiastic about Sven and the and her exchange student coming in, and Xander was dead set against Buffy's exchange student. But then by the time they both arrived, they both completely switched the tables and everything. And even then, it's like I think like Cordelia was still actually looking at him and actually falling all over him in the actual book, because then she said that you can actually see who your exchange student is, and you can see their pictures and everything. So then surely she saw Sven in the actual book, but then by the time he arrives, she's just like I think maybe it was the fact that she he didn't really talk much of that. I think maybe she looked okay. I think she might have been okay with how he looked, but then she expected him to actually talk more, to talk like English or something. But then around her he was silent, but then around her friend he was actually fluent in English and actually used that English to actually mock her and actually using it to actually mock her, kind of like her attitude and her behavior towards him and everything. So maybe it was seeing how she actually was in real life that kind of deterred him and actually drew him away and everything. But then by the time it got to her friend, who was actually nice to talk to and nice to be around, he was then suddenly talkative and everything. So yeah, so then Xander got on Parter, and then and then Cordelia had and then gave up Sven. So yeah, funny how that works. But I think that is pretty much all I have for now. All my initial thoughts on this episode out of the way. So it was a fun one. Again, like an episode with like mummies and kind of mummy culture, like even from like a different culture, even from a culture other than what I'm kind of more predominantly used to and everything. Like this one being Incan, it was completely fine and really interesting, and might even actually kind of get around to some research after this and see what stuff was like back then. But yeah, for the most part, it was a really fun episode, a really great episode, and I think a really great time with the team, and seeing Xander falling head over heels for yet again another supernatural creature again, as per the trend with him, was really fun. So yeah, that is pretty much all there is from me. So that was Buffy Season 2, Episode number 4. So yeah, thank you guys as always so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment what you thought of the episode and what your thoughts are on the coming ones and theories and any kind of thoughts you have to share on the lore and everything explored in this episode. For those interested, full-length reaction will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So until next time, bye bye for now.